Hey everybody, welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden, and the squad is up to their virtue signaling shenanigans again, guys. I talked to you guys most recently on an episode about the rotating villain theory, and about how it wasn't an accident that Rashida Tlaib, AOC, and Jamaal Bowman were the ones that voted incorrect on the budget the Capitol was going to get at $2 billion. They were the ones that voted absent and allowed that to pass deliberately. The reason that those three were the ones, particularly AOC and Rashida, that were the ones that took the fall is because earlier in the week they had done things that the progressive left actually liked. The resolution that AOC put forth in the House to block the $735 million to Israel from Biden had her in the left's, on their good list. And the same thing with Rashida Tlaib when she went after Joe Biden on the tarmac, because of course she is Palestinian. She was, on the good side of the left, which is why they were the ones chosen to take the fall. Bowman, I wasn't sure, but he took the fall as well, and now he's trying to get back in the good graces of the left, and it is no accident that he is the one that has now come out in against the $1 trillion infrastructure bill, saying that it's not even close to enough money being invested. He says it has to be at least $2 trillion, saying that that was the compromise. Now, I want to talk about why it's Bowman, but I also want to talk about how this is ridiculous. It's all posturing. We already know that Bowman's spineless, so him coming out on CNN and talking about how, I don't think I'm going to vote for the infrastructure bill because all we're doing is capitulating to Republicans. I think we need to draw a line in the sand. You don't care about this infrastructure bill. You don't care about the people at all, Jamaal. If you did, you would have voted correct on the capital budget bill. The only reason you're the one that's going to be championing this is because you're on the left's shit list right now. So you were chosen to be the one to come out on the right side of the infrastructure spending because they know, everybody, the progressives and the Democratic elites, the whole entire Democratic Party knows that you got to take your turn. And it has to alternate so that nobody in the progressives, the squad, gets too much shit or too much victory. Okay? So I'm going to read to you here what Jamaal Bowman said. A potential progressive revolt is brewing over President Joe Biden's compromise to offer to Senate Republicans on infrastructure, a proposal that would leave in place the corporate tax rate established under the Trump administration and cut the original $2.2 trillion American Jobs Plan in half. In a statement issued late Thursday after details of Biden's new $1 trillion proposal began to emerge, Representative Jamaal Bowman said that, quote, "If what we've read is true, I would have a very difficult time voting yes on this bill," end quote. He also went on CNN and said that exact same thing. And, David Dole, of course, goes and worships, because that's all he does, is he's just a squad defender. Let me tell you why this is bogus. The only reason that Jamaal Bowman is out there and he's the one spearheading this to be on the right side is because the entire Democratic Party knows that he's, in a fucking dumpster right now with the left. They don't want anything to do with him because he voted incorrect on the capital budget bill. He didn't vote correct with Nancy Pelosi. Jamaal Bowman has not voted correct on anything yet. So nobody likes him. Me in particular. I think he's like one of the least valuable members of the squad, as if any of them really had any value right now. But I even have said before, he doesn't even tweet well. So he's near useless, if not actually useless. So of course he's the one that gets pegged to be on the right side of this and to come out publicly to try to push Biden back. I wouldn't be surprised to see other people who have not voted correctly once, for instance, I think Ilhan Omar's on a cold streak here too, even though I think she was technically rhetorically on the right side of Israel-Palestine. But they're going to pick the people that are most in danger with keeping their lefty constituents that put them in office as the ones to spearhead the next big thing that lefties will get behind. And then, of course, it'll alternate. Watch when the vote comes out for this. You'll see that Bowman will probably vote correct, probably AOC, probably Rashida Tlaib. You want to know why? Because they just voted incorrect. They're going to have them alternate so that the left never focuses too much ire on one of them and never exalts any of one of them too much. So this is by design. Now, lastly, main point. I'm going to talk substance. If Bowman and the squad gave a fuck about the infrastructure, he would stop going on CNN and writing stupid shit like this. He would just go, here's the deal, guys. He'd go into the Progressive Caucus and the squad and say, listen, we're going to vote to block the infrastructure bill as a block until it's $5 trillion, because that's what the civil engineers say that it has to be to get our infrastructure up to a grade of B. I don't make the rules. That's what the civil engineers say. We have to aim for $5 trillion. And if they really wanted $5 trillion, they'd aim for $10 trillion, because they know that's going to get whittled down. But, if Jamaal had any type of, principles, and if he were brave, and he actually cared about this stuff, is he'd go, listen, I'm just going to make sure that the rest of the squad does not allow this infrastructure bill to pass, and if the Republicans want to keep pulling the price tag down, we're going to pull the price tag back up. I don't care. And we're not going to let anything pass until they agree that it's up to $5 trillion. Period. And then they would wield power, and Joe Biden would have to go, okay, I'm not going to work with Republicans anymore. I guess we're going to have to work with the progressives, do budget reconciliation, and all he'd have to do then to make the progressives happy, all 4 or 5 of them that agree to block it, is say, Joe Manchin, you're going to vote for the infrastructure bill, or I'm going to ruin your career. Or I can give you something great. I can, help West Virginia out like crazy if you agree to vote correct on the infrastructure bill, which only needs 51 votes through budget reconciliation. Then the squad would actually pull the infrastructure bill up into the $4 trillion range. But Jamaal Bowman doesn't give a shit about the infrastructure. This is all virtue signaling. And Joe Biden doesn't give a shit about the infrastructure because he's already shown that he's unwilling to do budget reconciliation and to strong-arm Joe Manchin and to overrule the parliamentarian. And Joe Manchin obviously doesn't give a shit about infrastructure because he's a big garbage can full of human fecal matter. Beyond that, guys, lastly, the reason I haven't been going over anything that's going on in Congress is because nothing is going on. It's just the same old thing for the last couple of weeks, so I've had to go after, other YouTubers and talk about other stupid stuff that's going on and basically doing like diss tracks across the board, because here's what's going on. Sinema and Manchin are blocking everything so that we can't go through budget reconciliation. Joe Manchin says that he will never vote for anything unless it gets Republican votes. So Joe Biden says, okay, let's go get the Republican votes. There are no Republican votes. There hasn't been a single Republican vote for anything Joe Biden has tried to pass since he's been in office. So this is a fantasy. They're trying to collect 10 Republican votes to go through normal order on the infrastructure bill. So since the Republicans aren't budging, and they never will, and they're obstructing like they always will, and Joe Manchin's not budging, and Joe Biden's too weak to strong-arm Joe Manchin, and the progressives are too weak to strong-arm Joe Biden to make Joe Manchin do the right thing, we're at a gridlock, and that's why I haven't done anything on substance on this stuff, is because of it's been a clown car of dumb shit. Obstructionism and, playing dumb and scapegoating and being anemic in terms of your rhetoric, especially when it comes to the Progressive Caucus and the squad, and it's just like I said, it's a circus. It's a circus of mediocrity, or worse. So that's the reason I haven't talked a lot about substance lately, is because nothing's fucking happening. It's just Joe Manchin's blocking everything so we can't go through budget reconciliation. Joe Biden's unwilling to convince Joe Manchin to do anything. And the progressives are unwilling to push Joe Biden to push Joe Manchin, and people like David Dole are unwilling to push the squad to push Joe Biden to push Joe Manchin. So here I am, just shaming all 4 of those fuckers, trying to push all of them to do the right thing, so I'm like 5 degrees of separation away from any type of sanity. So keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. None of these people are doing what needs to be done, and mark my words, the people that vote correct on this infrastructure bill, in terms of blocking it, like voting as a block, like Jamaal Bowman is saying he's not going to vote for this, potentially, it'll be the same people that just voted incorrect. Likely AOC and Rashida Tlaib. Maybe Ilhan Omar, because she hasn't been doing a lot of good voting either. But even Ayanna Pressley voted correct on something recently, and I think it was the capital budget. I think she actually voted correct. So you can see her more than likely vote incorrect on this one, and you'll just see them alternate. So no progressive gets too much hate, and no progressive gets too much exaltation. It's by design, guys. Rotating villain. So Jamaal Bowman's only on the right side of this rhetorically because he's been absolute shit so far in office. And quite frankly, I would love somebody to primary him and for him to be a one-term congressperson because he's useless. Useless. So keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. I'll talk to you later.